Kuro Games just released their latest set of teasers for Wuthering Waves 2.0, and it's confirmed that it's going to be a banger, launching on January 2nd along with the PS5 version of the game. This much drip marketing in a 5-hour span of time? It should be illegal. With a cultural theme that's clearly taken inspiration from some real-world European civilizations and the most vibrant character designs we've ever seen, Rinascita, arriving in the next version, is promising a lot of hype, for all the right reasons. Upon a distant shore, the carnival beckons. Let's set sail to the hidden archipelago, the land of echoes, and behold its grand unveiling. While this mysterious invitation and seemingly random display of mementos creates more questions than answers, there's still a lot we can take in from these teasers, exploring deeper into the items and characters themselves, while still taking into account what we actually know from the game's underlying lore. And today we'll be taking the time to do just that, breaking down all of this incredible news, what we might expect from Rinascita based off of what we already know in-game, and why Kuro's taking such a unique approach across their marketing when it comes to this newest region. When Rinascita has been described as a co-creation between Kuro and the player community, and we know how well Kuro can listen based off their track record over these past 6 months, you can believe me when I say there's a lot to look forward to. As always, if you're enjoying this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. When taking a look at all of these different teasers, it's clear that they're all a singular part of a bigger design. And if we use the first and last teasers as a baseline, it's obvious what Kuro's teasing here. These items are the equipment of the new characters releasing across Rinascita, giving us a fair number of hints about the attributes and weapon types that these new characters will use. With items like a staff, lockbox, and gunblade, it's clear that Kuro's taking a lot of creative freedoms when designing the playstyles of their newest resonators, with unique attack animations that will probably be similar to Jian with his spear, while the characters who don the mask and the ribbon might actually use their baseline weapons in combat, like Calcharo or Camellia. This equipment also represents an incredible tonal shift in design across Wuthering Waves into a more fantasy-focused setting across Rinascita, as opposed to the primarily sci-fi flavored designs we saw across most of Jinzhou's residents. While there were definitely some standouts in the 1.x roster, like Jeja, Chongli, and Jinsi, most of its character designs had that post-modern apocalyptic feel that combined technological sophistication with a sprinkle of magic. But now, in Rinascita, with magical-looking staves, Renaissance-era rifles, opera masks, which come from Italy, and a clear reference to the Venetian lagoon with Raguna, Rinascita, for many, will likely be a return to high fantasy and magical storytelling that we haven't gotten many tastes of within Wuthering Waves. Our experiences across 1.0 and Jinzhou as a whole had us exploring the aftermath of disaster, with nearly every part of the map explored and quests completed. Broken, floating sedans, derailed trains, and ruined civilizations were the name of the game across pretty much every experience, be it main quests or even in our characters' dreams. And despite the varied map expansions we've had across areas like Mount Firmament and the Black Shores, the underlying theme of a rebuilding civilization made a lot of the early overworld feel bleak, grim, and to some, potentially uninviting. Rinascita's shift to a genre that is, for all intents and purposes, more bright, offers existing players a fresh new take on storytelling and world building, while also creating a potential hook for new players who might have been initially turned off by the sense of hopelessness tied to the 1.0 story. Even if a new player isn't that interested in 1.0, the simple implementation of a skip button will allow those players to quickly get up to speed, and most importantly, actually engage with the content and story that they came for. If you're drawn in by characters like these, you'll be able to find out who they are and interact with them ASAP, just in time for the PS5 release and all of those brand new players. As long as Kuro balances their storytelling beats, the potential here is massive. Rinascita's supposed to be far more technologically advanced than Jinzhou, but all of its teasers ironically feel like we're going back in time. Another huge revelation across these teasers is stamped to the bottom right of each one, a rather strange looking amalgamation of a unicorn and a seahorse, or a hippocamp originating from Greek mythology. When we look at this in comparison to the logo of Jinzhou, whose Sentinel is also a dragon that we're all familiar with, Rinascita's Sentinel is probably going to be one of these. When the Sentinel's origin in the real world clearly dictates the architecture and design of its city in-game, there's likely going to be a fair amount of of Greek and Roman influence in WuWa's newest region, complete with a traditional art style that might have some players thinking they've accidentally booted up Genshin Impact. Combine that with the fact that the echoes in Rinascita are next level and have been rumored to speak like Abby on the regular, it's safe to say that this next version, as long as Kuro follows through on all of these little nuggets we've been fed across the past 6 months, will be the most revolutionary one yet, with an abundance of different areas across the lore to explore. We have to remember that there are 6 regions and 6 Sentinels spread across the world of Solaris, and if all of its settings are as uniquely differentiated as this, almost every type of genre in fiction is on the table. And the best part about all of this variety, we're pretty much guaranteed to see it expanded on further across pre-existing story features like the Somme Noir's Elusive Realm and Tethys' simulations. Both of these things use past memories or experiences to create alternate realities or timelines that provide an incredible amount of potential when it comes to a deeper exploration of a character's backstory or the world as a whole. And there's no doubt that Rinascita will be heavily featured across these channels in the near future, while still providing opportunities to come back to its setting and Jinzhou's after the region's role in the main story has concluded. When you consider all of these different devices Kuro's prepared across this first version of the game, it's clear that a lot of its latter patches, specifically 1.3 and 1.4, were spent laying down the tracks for the absolute freight train of content that's coming with Rinascita. Kuro's capped it all off by bringing the Dong himself to formally announce Rinascita to the entire player base, as well as the PS5 release of the game. And after delaying their drip marketing for several weeks, we finally gotten a reveal of the 5 newest characters coming to the roster. There's a lot of color and a very different atmosphere than what we're used to. It's clear that Kuro's taken a different marketing approach for their advertising prior to Rinascita, and when we consider the effect that drip marketing can have for the on-banner character, it's easy to understand why they decided to wait. Camellia, in a lot of ways, is a love letter to the player base, with how much care and effort were put into her character design, playstyle, and companion story. When this character's been teased since version 1.0 and was given the most promotional material we've seen out of the entire limited roster, Kuro's simply giving her banner time to breathe, and not cannibalize their sales by teasing new and exciting characters when they're still riding the wave of Camellia's hype. And now, that time has finally come. I'd hesitate to give the devs any flack for this delay. It's been an incredible experience witnessing the constant, informed, and meaningful changes these devs have been making with every part of the game. When WuWa's biggest critics can't stop mentioning faults about its release more than 6 months later as their main way to detract from its success, you know the devs are actually making some amazing changes. Like I mentioned before, the Rinascita region is a true co-creation between Kuro Games and the player base. They know what the players want. They've proven themselves over the past 6 months. In history, it oftentimes repeats itself. As always, if you enjoyed this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. Peace out.